Hello everyone, it's Michelle. Welcome to Contentment Guide Astrology. I'm sitting outside today, so you might hear some outside noises like dogs barking, people going past. Welcome to my channel. Please like, please share, please subscribe. It helps my channel and my business to grow. I really appreciate it. So it is full moon time again. So this full moon is happening at 24 degrees of Cancer. It is happening either on the 13th or the 14th of January, depending on where you are in the world. And Cancer is the house of the moon. So the moon is in its own house. It is very comfortable. It knows exactly where everything is. It can express itself in the most beautiful and easy ways when it is in its own house. So Cancer is that place of family. It is a watery, more emotional place. It's where we connect to those more softer emotional parts of ourselves and the people around us. But even though the moon is in its own house, there is a little bit more of a challenging aspect because this full moon is conjunct Mars, and on top of it all, Mars is retrograde, and Mars is not very comfortable in the sign of Cancer. Mars finds it a little bit harder to express itself in really good and easy ways in Cancer. So those energies of taking action, of dealing with our desires, of dealing with conflict, all of these things are a little bit compromised at this point. And compromised is not necessarily easy, but it helps us to find a more solid place inside ourselves. And it also requires of us to go a little bit deeper to find those solid grounded places inside us. So Mars is retrograde, so that already makes the action and how we move and the speed at which we move through the world also different, because Mars is currently moving backwards. So actions can be a little bit slower, and our emotions, because Mars is conjunct the moon, can be a little bit more volatile and not so easy to express. Mars is retrograde, and it might be really hard to say what we need to say, to do what we need to do. We might be dealing with anger inside that we don't know how to express. So this is quite an interesting full moon. And we all know that at the full moon our emotions are already heightened, and so yes, I would say this full moon is going to require a lot of presence and groundedness, and if we can achieve this, that would be wonderful. But as we know, the energies that are expressing themselves, they're always perfect. So whatever feels challenging and weird and just not working at the moment, that's exactly what we are meant to feel at this time. So the moon conjunct Mars, it's like I said, emotions may be a little bit harder to express or to deal with, or they might be eruptive and impulsive, and we might feel impatient. There's a sense maybe of irritability and conflict, and so it's important to, if we can, find healthy ways to deal with these more challenging emotions, even if this is a kind of full moon, even if it is falling in Cancer. the kind of full moon where we need to actually be on our own and deal with the things inside, with our own inner healing and inner working that's going on for us in a very private way. And another way to deal with Mars being conjunct to this moon is to, on this day, find healthy ways to move your body, express the Mars energy in healthy ways, and that would also even help us to get rid of and work with the emotional and mental energies that might be a bit more challenging at this time. And as if this is not already quite volatile and more challenging with Mars retrograde conjunct the moon, we also have Uranus trine the moon at this time. Uranus is in 23 degrees of Taurus, and oh sorry, this is a sextile, I'm saying trine. Uranus is sextile the moon at this time. So sextiles are more flowing aspects. So even though Uranus brings sudden things and more volatile energies, because this is a sextile, it is more harmonious, so we can have sudden insights here into how we deal with our actions and our emotions, how we deal with the people around us and our family. Uranus can bring really quick change, and also things can happen suddenly, but because it is a sextile and because Uranus is sextile the moon and trine the sun, we might be easy to adapt to sudden changes and insights that come into our lives. So yeah, so this aspect of Uranus sextile the moon and trine the sun, it can bring us insights and realizations, light bulb moments. We can feel more open-minded at this time, a little bit experimental and adventurous, and we might be open to really showing very personal and quirky and unique parts of ourselves that sometimes we keep hidden. So yeah, so this is definitely a time with Uranus to be open to adapting to new and sudden changes. And then at the same time we have Neptune also trining Mars. Neptune is at 27 of Pisces and Mars is at 27 of Cancer. And because Mars is currently retrograde and in a sign where it's not that comfortable, all of these Mars energies are a little bit more challenging to work with. And so Neptune can make Neptune can make things feel a little bit more foggy and unclear, but it brings a very sensual and creative and romantic energy also into this full moon. Again, it is a trine, so it's a little bit more of an easy flowing aspect. We can feel courage to take spiritual actions, to take romantic and passionate actions, and really feel into new ways of dealing with creativity and passion at this time. And then the only harder aspect that is happening at the time of this full moon is Venus is at 11 degrees of Pisces and Saturn is at 15 degrees of Pisces, and they are both squaring Jupiter retrograde at 12 degrees of Gemini. So normally with Venus squaring Jupiter, this is a bit more of a fun, and loving and sensual and optimistic kind of energy. But because Saturn is also in the mix, we can feel a bit more serious, or like there's some kind of barrier or something holding us back in a certain way between the areas of Pisces and Gemini at this time. So this is really a very interesting full moon. There are such dynamic energies happening here, and a lot of it with Mars has to do with how we take action, how we work with our own inner anger, and how we deal with conflict. With this Venus and Saturn square to Jupiter, I would say, you know, there's definitely, we're being asked to find patience here, to take the long-term view rather than rushing into things, taking action too fast, making decisions too fast. So yes, this is not an easy full moon. I think we can heal a lot during this full moon. We can find new ways of dealing with Mars related things, and finding a way, your own way at this time, to be more grounded and introspective is going to be very helpful. Sometimes where Mars is in the mix, and especially where Uranus is also in the mix, with the sextile to the moon and the trine to the sun, we can be led to do sudden things, to take sudden action, but we can still do it from a more aware and grounded place. So this is what we're being asked to do at this time. So the Ching reading I got for this full moon in Cancer, I threw the coins and I got hexagram 15, which then changed into hexagram 57. So hexagram 15 says, be modest and humble in your actions. So this relates with that Mars retrograde, finding a way to slow down in what we do. Find inner calm and grounding. By being modest and humble, you can achieve long-term benefits. So there's definitely an energy here that's asking us to take the long-term view, especially with this full moon being with the Mars retrograde in Cancer, and Mars is still going to be in Cancer until April. So there's a long-term thing that we are dealing with at this time. It says keep situations as simple as possible. I think when it comes to full moons and emotions, and especially with the energy of Cancer, it's easy to be very emotional and make things very complicated. So we're being asked to find ways to keep things simple, which I think is very wise. And it says be calm with your words and your actions. And then it changes to hexagram 57, which says go deep, do the inner work, focus on long-term goals, take the long view and yet be adaptable. So this is beautiful advice for this full moon, to try and be modest, to try and keep things simple, to try and be calm with our words and our actions. This all really works very well. And then I also drew a tarot card for this full moon, and I received the Emperor. And this is also such a beautiful card for this full moon. The Emperor is a very solid and wise energy. It is the energy of protection, of being very still and wise, it is the energy of the wise masculine. So Mars is also related to the masculine. So we're being asked to find that inner wisdom of how we deal with our Mars energy, how we take action, how we work with our desires, how we deal with anger. The Emperor is surrounded on his throne by 4 ram's heads, which is also related to Mars. So you can see this full moon is so related to Mars. The Emperor is holding an ankh in his one hand and an orb in his other hand. And the ankh is related to the wisdom of the cycle of life. So again, for me, that points to life is a cycle and taking the long-term view. And the orb is related to the world over which he governs. So again, this is taking a wider perspective, a higher perspective, being aware of the bigger parts of the situation at hand. He is wearing a red robe, which is related to passion and action and desire. And under his robe, he's wearing armor. So that means he's also protected in what he's doing. He's wearing a crown, so he's a figure of authority. He's got these very solid mountains behind him, which is that solid, wise energy. Then there is, just behind the throne, there is a small stream, a river flowing behind the throne, which is related to emotions. So with this card, I think with a Mars retrograde at hand, we can be inclined to be a little bit stoic, maybe even unemotional and too solid and unmovable. But the stream of emotion that is flowing behind is the wisdom that says your emotions can come out in the correct ways, in beautiful ways, if we stay grounded and not take action and act on our anger or on conflict in ways that are too fast and unpredictable. So I hope this reading for the full moon gave you some insight on the energies that are at work here. I wish you a beautiful full moon. Find those places inside yourself where you can work with your own inner knowing and groundedness and stillness, and be aware of what might be happening for those around you. The energies can be a little bit more volatile at the full moon, and even more so with Mars and Uranus in the mix. So be kind, be gentle, find that inner solid part, but still allow for the emotions to come out in a flowing and beautiful way. So please share, please like, please subscribe, please leave your comments. I would love to hear what's happening for you at this full moon. And I am still doing personal readings and also year ahead 2025 readings. If you are interested in a reading, please get in touch. I will see you next time. Thank you.